differently. Bhagwanji made most astounding claims about, that one day he talked about that I am active in different parts of the world in theaters. He made some most astounding claim about the war in Vietnam. I don't have time, but he said certain things which were not in public domain. Babaji cannot know something which is not known to Pentagon. In 65, you're saying I have told Ho Chi Minh that you distribute finest form of cocaine and opium in South Vietnamese side where the American forces are. It was only until at late 60s that the Pentagon came to know that the American forces are taking drugs. By 71, it was clear 10% of soldiers are on drugs. How does a Baba know in 1965 that the American soldiers are on drugs? And he's making a claim that America can never win this war, but they're looking for me everywhere, but they will not find the coast, so on and so forth. And he's saying when Americans and Vietnamese are discussing truce talks in Paris, I'm there. The ghost, the shadow of the ghost is there. We look for pictures in the archive from the agencies in America. This photograph is from America. There is a peace talk. For some reason, the Americans and Vietnamese declared truce, ceasefire in Vietnam on Subhash Bose's birthday. I'm not counting it as it can be a coincidence. 23rd January 1973 is the official date when they announced we will declare ceasefire. I do not know why they would spot on that date. But this is, for me, that's not an evidence. But this is a point where I'm very intrigued. I am not concluding anything. But when we look into the pictures taken during the Paris peace talk, Bhagwanji talked a lot about Paris. He loved that city. I can explain how he went there, but that's not the issue. But when we see, he said Ho Chi Minh's pride of 9 generals and a shadow behind them. There are a lot of things into it. He would explain why he did that, a lot of things he did not like communist. It's very detailed thing, so we will discuss some other time. But we see roughly 8 or 9 people, they were top level generals sitting there. I can go into a lot of details about it. But we see a man there who has a little bit of similar structure and height to Subhash Chandra Bose. We take a close-up, he seems to have put on some weight, which was the case with Bhagwanji. Bhagwanji, by 1969, he did not have too many wrinkles on his face, but he was balding. Hair was all white, but he had put on some weight. But he did not have a face with wrinkles. But this man, we look at from different sides and different directions. He is somebody who has some resemblance with Subhash Bose. I do not know because I wrote to the government of Vietnam asking them, who is this man? Can you identify? They told me, you write to our different department. That department never replied to me. And then there are other claims coming from independent sources about Vietnam story, even from people who have no interest in Subhash Chandra Bose. Journalists are saying we were told by the government of Vietnam that there are reports about Subhash Bose in our country, so on and so forth. These things are there. So this man, wherever you look, whichever side, he has some resemblance with our man. There's a thing called facial mapping in London, England. It's basically an admissible evidence. So we did run these pictures through a facial mapping expert. So he's saying from whatever I can make out, there is a resemblance. So resemblance doesn't mean Subhash Bose. But then I'm thinking in the context of what Bhagwanji said regarding Vietnam and why he couldn't come out, this makes a lot of sense. So I leave you with this last picture. This is the only picture I've got because this is the closest I could get as a close-up. So we need to find who this man was. There is a very good chance, I don't know how 100%, I'm not sure, 80%, 50%, there is a possibility because Bhagwanji did talk about something like this. There's a possibility, if we can figure out that this man is somebody else, then this particular line is killed. Otherwise, I think this has to be found out who this man is. Because among these people, of all these people, this person's granddaughter is a Miss Vietnam. We will try to reach her very soon. They're all dead. The foreign minister, one of them was a lady who eventually became a vice president of Vietnam. My friends met her recently in Vietnam, and the moment they take Subhash Bose's name, she suddenly becomes stiff. Meeting over. But she said he was a great man. So there's something about Vietnam and Subhash Chandra Bose. And even if this is true, forget what other issues. Even this angle is true. Impossible for this man to come out. Do not disclose my location. It is not India's national. People ask me, was this man a coward? No, he was not a coward. Whoever this man was. He would have eaten people alive if he were to out. But these problems were there. But these problems were then. These problems are not today. Whatever I know, take my word for it, there are records with Government of India. Help me in raising the momentum. I do not want people to support me on anything. You take it as an interesting story like in Hollywood, let me be right or wrong. Just support me on one point agenda. Declassify all Subhas Chandra Bose files, especially from the intelligence agencies. Without that, there will be nothing. I want the raw files. I want the IB files. And after you have released your files, go and talk to the Russians at the highest level. Talk to the Russians. Because as far as I understand, if this man was Subhash Bose, Russians knew that he was sitting here. Because he was their buddy. So I am on Facebook, on Twitter, please be active. Do nothing. I want your support, nothing. No Bhagwanji, no Faizabad, forget about everything. I want your support only on one thing. Support the demand for declassification, which is in favor of transparency, which is in favor of democracy. In principle, even people in Congress party are not against it. I am not afraid of what Dr. Swami is saying. Dr. Swami can go on telling the world he was killed in Russia. Take it from me, there will be no proof. There is sufficient data available that Russian theory is probably not true. So that's how it is. Thank you very much for your time. God bless all of you.